All right, so finding the vertex, intercepts, and axis of symmetry for the graph of a parabola. We are going to be doing 3 problems of these because there's 3 different type of things that you want to look at. However, we're going to start with this one because we're going to talk, they can change the order of the questions. So basically, it's a checkoff list. So does the parabola open upwards or downwards? Hopefully we can see that it is opening further upwards. So we are going to write on that. So it is upwards. Write the equation. So we see this word equation, and this is one of the times that the system isn't giving you all of the information. So we're actually going to write an equation. The axis of symmetry, remember, is that vertical line that goes dead center in the middle of your equation or of your graph. So this is my axis of symmetry. I will label it in a second. So this is the AOS. All right, this point right here is your vertex, and I can label it as 1, -4. This point right here and this point right here are our x-intercept. This is my other x-intercept. So intercept just means it's crossing, and it's crossing the x-axis. And this point right here is my y-intercept. There's always going to be just one of the y-intercepts. Okay, it is possible because we're talking quadratics, so we're talking the ax squared plus bx plus c. It is possible to have 2 x-intercepts or 2 zeros. It is possible to have 1. It would also be the vertex then. And it is also possible not to have any x-intercepts. So there's choices with it. But now getting back to the questions though, when we're writing the equation for the axis of symmetry, there needs to be an equal sign. So you need to say it's an x equals line because it's hitting the x-axis. It is a vertical line, and the axis of symmetry hits the x-axis at 1. It goes through that vertex with that x-coordinate. So x equals 1 is our axis of symmetry. For the x-intercepts, it is -1. I could write it as a point, or I can just list them is really what I need. So -1 is my smallest one, and 3 is my larger one. They don't have to be in order, but you get used to, as you're doing more math, keeping things in order whenever possible. And then my y-intercept is at -3. And we're going to get to a point where we could have used all that information to write the equation. However, we're just asking to interpret the graph. So find the coordinates of the vertex. That vertex is that turning point. It is that lowest point in your graph. And we did determine that that was 1, -4. So I'm just going to write it next to the box. Okay, so those are all of the pieces that we're going to be doing. We're not going to label quite as much on the picture, but we are going to be answering the questions for the other 2 examples that we have. I know it's a little smaller, but I could get it wide enough there. So the first one we're looking at, it's opening upwards. My vertex is right here, and that is 3, 0. So 3, 0. Axis of symmetry, it goes through that x-coordinate. So this is x equals 3. The, so the vertex, that the axis of symmetry. The x-intercepts, there is only one, and it is that vertex again. So it is at x equals 3. And then my y-intercept is right here, which is at 9. So the point 0, 9 is my y-intercept, and I would just put a 9 here. All right, so then the last one we're going to look at, it is opening downwards. So we have a frown. Find the intercept. So it is actually not crossing the x-axis, so the x-intercept is none. Those it's going to have, because it doesn't ever cross the x-intercept, it doesn't have any real roots. Those roots would be imaginary numbers, so it's not going to give us anything too great. It's not going to factor. The y-intercept, it does hit right on the y-axis at -5, so that will be a -5. The vertex is still right here. It is 4, -1, so we'll write that here, 4, -1. And the equation for the axis symmetry, remember that goes through the vertex, and it is just x equals the x of the vertex was 4. So these questions shouldn't be too bad. The problem that most people will complain to me about is they forget the x equals, and then it will be counted completely wrong and you'll have to redo it. Or you'll have to fix it, so just don't forget the x equals wherever the x coordinate of the vertex is for your axis of symmetry.